We are about to enter the new era of gas around the world. As demand increases, so will the prices. Tony Wood, Energy Program Director of Grattan Institute, explains what this means for Australia and why the government should not protect domestic users and industries from rising gas prices.
The International Energy Agency has described the decade we're about to come into as a golden age of gas, and that means that the world is going through a major revolution in the supply and demand of gas around the world. Well, the changes are revolutionary in one sense, because what we're seeing is enormous growth in demand for natural gas, driven by economic growth, particularly in countries like China and India. But even on top of that, Japan, which unfortunately had to shut down most of its nuclear plants as a result of the tsunami a few years ago, have now turned to gas, and so they're using an awful lot of gas. So there's enormous demand for gas. At the same time, the technologies have been developed so that we now can extract coal seam gas or shale gas in the United States. So we're seeing this enormous growth, both in demand and supply of gas worldwide, and that has serious implications for the world, mostly positive, but certain implications for Australia, some of which might be negative. Once we've opened our market to the globe, that means that our prices generally will move towards global prices. On the east coast of Australia, we've been largely protected from the global prices. Now we're going to be connected. That means that our prices will generally move towards those, which means up. And that means consumers, both businesses and houses in Australia, will be paying higher prices for gas than they've paid before. And that obviously is something that people will not like to see.
And if these gas prices are going up, should the government intervene to alleviate the pain of the prices?
Well, the gas prices going up reflects the real value of the gas. The governments shouldn't intervene to protect either domestic consumers or industries from prices going up, because otherwise people will make inefficient decisions about how they choose to use gas or electricity or whatever else it might be, right? So it's very important that the price signals are real and accurate. Now that doesn't mean we should simply ignore the consequences, particularly for low-income households, and governments should do something about that. But protectionism has always been proven to be wrong in Australia and elsewhere, and we are a country that has benefited more than most countries in the world by the fact we've opened up our markets to trade. So preventing free trade would not be a good idea. So in the short term, while you might get small reduced prices, in the long term you'll get less development, less economic activity for Australia, and a lot higher prices in the long term. And so in fact, it doesn't work, and B, it produces exactly the result you're trying to avoid. So protectionism never works.
Now people might be wondering how exporting so much gas can be consistent with global action on climate change. Is it right for Australia to export so much gas?
I think the right way to think about that question is that the world and Australia have yet to turn their supposed commitment to keep greenhouse gas emissions to a level that would not increase world temperatures by more than 2 degrees, to turn that commitment into real action and policy. Once they do, of course, what that means is that then gas or coal or renewable energy will all be priced relative to how much greenhouse gases they produce. So gas power will be cleaner than coal, but it will also be more dirty, if you like, in terms of producing greenhouse gas emissions than nuclear energy or solar or wind. Once you've done that, then the carbon market will decide where's the most efficient way to improve our greenhouse gas emissions. If the market decides as a result of pricing emissions that gas should be used as a transition fuel, that'd be great. But if equally over time, as it will, decides we can't keep burning natural gas into the future, then it won't. So for example, that means over the long term, we probably can't in the world burn all that gas that we've discovered as a result of this golden age of gas.